Hello and welcome. You're listening to Tomorrow Talk, a podcast by Hoff Capital. I'm your host, Sabrina Halper, and today I'll be speaking with Dillon Rosenblatt, who is the co-founder and CEO of Autograph. Autograph is an NFT platform that brings together the most iconic brands and legendary names in sports, entertainment, and culture to create unique digital collections and experiences. Dillon founded it in 2021 with Tom Brady, and since then, they've raised over $200 million for the project. Let's dive into it. Hi, Dillon.
Hi, Sabrina.
Thank you for coming on the show. It's a pleasure to have you here. Happy Friday. We can get started in a second. How are you doing? We need like a separate call where we can just do a catch up.
I know. I'm doing well. It's been busy, fun, awesome. All the things I'm sure you hear from CEOs in a kind of hyper growth stage like this. But me personally, outside of work, it has just been limited. It's been all work for the past year, but I wouldn't really have it in any other way. It's been an awesome experience.
Yeah. No, it sounds awesome. And you're in such an exciting space. I think as a disclaimer, it's important to tell the audience that you and I have known each other for a very long time, since you're 12 years old. So it's cool to bring that friendship into a different context. And I guess I just want to start from the beginning of Autograph and its inception. In this NFT craze of the past couple of years, like what was the point where you decided to get involved? And was there a specific signal where you thought like, okay, I need to build a company in this space?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for having me on. It is cool to see this friendship take a new form, and couldn't be more excited to watch you and this podcast become something amazing. So
Awesome.
Where it really got started for me, I actually haven't said this to a few people, but I was working on a crypto hedge fund idea for a little bit with some friends. I was working full time at my last job. And in getting started on that, I didn't spend a ton of time actually doing it, but it did seem relatively interesting. I noticed an NFT. And at the moment where I saw and kind of realized that digital media and art specifically could now have a verified and publicly verified owner, I'll never forget. Chills went throughout my body. I knew this was something that was going to be incredibly disruptive. As you know, I went from the USC Iovine and Young Academy, where there were people around me making incredible art all of the time. And the question would be how to monetize it. So the new market opportunity was clear from the start. And then at that moment, my head just started spinning. All kinds of media can now have an owner in the digital world. This is going to fundamentally, over the long term, change how we do things. What's an amazing and simple entry point? And to be honest, I thought that nobody had made it as simple as Top Shot had. So I was in that product early. I was really interested in it. And the first thought for me was, how can we bring more amazing brands across sports, entertainment, and culture into this world? So from there, the idea started spinning, and there's a variety of opportunities I'm sure we'll get into later in sports and beyond.
Totally. So seeing sort of the success of Top Shot and how many people were able to get involved in that kind of signaled to you like, okay, sports is maybe the best avenue to sort of enter the space through. And what did that initial process look like? Like, how did you get Tom Brady on board and sort of like build out the vision for what Autograph would be and like what dimension it would focus on?
Yeah, and I think more so than sports, honestly, it was the fact that they made the process simple. Setting up a MetaMask wallet, loading crypto, the whole flow is not as seamless as purchasing other things online in a Web2 way, any kind of e-commerce site. So it was the fact that, okay, this can be made relatively simple if you do it right, which kind of drove some decision making to end up on DraftKings Marketplace, where it's a place that takes fiat and provides a brand safe home for our content and the consumer. I am now, equally as interested in native Web3 applications, but this could be made more simple. The company initially came together. I was lucky enough to be able to get in front of Tom Brady and actually talk to him about what he wanted to do in the space. He was already involved in FTX and some other companies. And I was able to really come together with him and sell the vision of how can we build something special in Web3 for media and entertainment. And a natural starting point with him winning the 7th Super Bowl was obviously in the world of sports. So from there, he had amazing relationships. We had a relationship with DraftKings that predated Autograph by a bit, and or just on a personal level. And so we were able to kind of come together serendipitously. They said they were going to try to make an accessible marketplace for users with existing accounts. So between Tom Brady, DraftKings, and then being able to sign up people like Tiger Woods, Wayne Gretzky, Derek Jeter very early on and have them as partners to the platform, it just made sense to really dive into sports. So from there, it felt like the most natural fit that things that were once collected digitally, once only collected physically, could now be owned digitally. And that consumer already kind of understood the nature of collecting and celebrating their icons and all of the above.
Interesting. So, to go further down on that point, who do you think today is like the main consumer and user on Autograph? Because you're right, like it has been a very easy on ramp. Like it's not necessarily crypto native people.
So I'd say the audience is broader sports fans, but to get a bit more specific, it's these digital communities that build around the icons. We're one of the few places where there's a truly accessible way to come in and buy an NFT in a safe way to own it today. So I think their fans have been able to adopt at an outsized rate compared to other projects in the space that activate around personalities. And I think just one other point worth making is our icons and our people, our partners are really engaged and they really care. And they all the time are asking, what's the next thing I'm doing for my community, with my community, all of the above.
Right now, to date, you've mostly been working with these kind of iconic people, like these iconic athletes, iconic creators, and iconic production studios or, movies that already have these cult followings. Do you ever see a world in which you guys would almost be able to create NFT collections for anyone, like almost become a Shopify in the sense where it's like you provide tools for people to create NFT collections around whatever, around anything?
It's a great question. I think building the tooling, a lot of people are after that same goal. But our belief is there needs to be a really well thought out strategy, curated community, and awesome creative, and also a long term experience for the consumer to be able to really purchase and enjoy these things. So right now, we're not actually building out the tooling for people to scale themselves. Right now, as an entity, it's up to us, I think, to be able to continue to work with people in a more in-depth way to provide this content. So you're right, it's more on the production studio side than it is building the tech for people to scale. And I do think in the creator economy, people are going to be able to come in and make it happen on their own eventually. But today, I think people need a lot of education, a lot of help, a lot of understanding of the market that you can only get through experience, and that's part of where we really come in handy.
Totally. And I think to me, it totally makes sense why you guys are kind of focusing on these icons, because they already have like fan bases. So instead of it being focused completely on marketing and building hype, like all the other crypto projects out there, it's actually tapping into this already like really strong fan base. And so it's just a sort of great way to start out.
It's
Going deeper into like Autograph and how you guys have, built out your collections, you have this system where there's sort of within each collection, there's tiers of rarity and they're associated with like an earth material. And I guess I'm curious, like, why did you think it was important to create tiers within each collection? And yeah, that's my first question. It's definitely sort of gamified. Like some of the NFTs are surprises, which sort of mimics like minting. Could you talk about that?
Yeah, I think for us, I think it kind of, so one, coming from a background of collecting sports cards, there's
Mhm.
always rarity in the physical card world, where you'd get anything from a common rookie quarterback all the way through to the one of one. So there was something amazing about that experience of being able to dive into the space and complete your collection with different kinds and variety. We thought it would just add interest and intrigue to our offering overall. And as you said, the gamification. We wanted to give the user something beyond just holding the NFT to kind of have a collecting goal and collecting game. The way that we kind of thought of ourselves early on, before I think it developed into this kind of Web3 media presence, is the new era of collecting. And I think we're still going to be driving that. And so this gamification system really did make sense to us. Will all of our offerings in the future have different tiers of rarity? I don't think so. We're going to diversify out of it, but I think it made sense for the audience we were attracting. And being on the DraftKings marketplace with these collections, people were into, they bet, they play fantasy, they do everything there already. So we knew these people have an interest in gamesmanship in general.
Completely. Yeah. And it makes it, more than just the process of buying the NFT once. You also have deadlines. Like in a way, it does feel like playing a game and it keeps you involved. And then you have sort of these, secondary ways to interact with the NFT through the Discord. And it's kind of an ongoing involvement,
Yeah.
which
And
I like.
one thing as well that I think has been really interesting for us is when we have the icons actually engage in a unique way. So in our Discord to date, we've brought in Derek Jeter, Wayne Gretzky, Tony Hawk, Tom and Rob Gronkowski together. We did Jim Gray and Usain Bolt earlier this week. We have, I think, brought these personalities and people into Web3 in a way that not many have for their communities. And then on a collection basis, we want to create a reason to really be here and to own the NFT and to have you be part of this community of communities that is Autograph.
As we were talking about, these collections based around these athletes, one thing I'm curious about is when you're designing them, are you thinking about how they can be shared across social media? Because, I think PFPs and like Twitter enabling people to make their profile picture an NFT, that's almost made it something that most NFT collections are centered around. Like, what is their ability to go viral? And I'm curious if you guys are thinking about that virality.
Yeah, we haven't actually launched a traditional PFP project to date. The closest thing that I think we did was it's not one-to-one by any means because there's multiple of each, but we launched these Dale Earnhardt Jr. helmets leading into his collection that were special. So do we think about the shareability on social? Not inherently in what we do, but I think if you make something special enough, it'll be shared regardless. So coming out in early April is our Tiger Woods collection, which I think is the best work our team has done so far, which I think is going to be absolutely incredible and inherently shared. And then something else that has been just our users share on Twitter constantly are the actual signed versions of the NFTs. So what we do is we send an iPad to the users. We send an iPad to our icons house and they sign every edition individually. I know you brought it up, but they'll sign,
Sorry, I'm
it
a
takes them a long
stalker
time.
because I
They sign
listen
each
to
one.
all your podcasts.
Yeah, well, that's flattering, and I don't listen to them because I just can't hear myself talk. But anyway, that's what those are shared. But there's obviously a huge social media wave around NFTs and PFPs and all of the above. And I wouldn't be surprised if you saw Autograph get into that in the coming months, but it will likely be when we do it in the broader Web3 ecosystem and not on DraftKings. So our plan is to then step into Ethereum potentially with a project more of that nature, but it would have to be done in the Autograph way. Because I do strongly believe as well that wave is kind of coming to an end. And that if you're going to do a PFP project, you better be curated an awesome community and experience around it. It's not just about the art or something funny. We want to actually drive an amazing experience and just use NFTs as the medium to do it.
Totally. Like it's not enough just to like be a part of the collection and have it as your profile picture. Like what are you going to get as part of that? Maybe it'll in the future, if there's PFPs and then you're part of a DAO or whatever it is, but there has to be that underlying like value add or community building aspect to it. And okay, I really want to ask you about the team you've put together around Autograph and especially the board of directors and the board of advisors, because it's kind of an insane list and caliber of people. Just to name a few, like in the crypto world, you have Sam Bankman-Fried of FTX, Katie Hahn, Ariana Simpson, athletes, Tom Brady, Tony Hawk, Derek Jeter, Simone Biles. You have Eddie Q of Apple, The Weeknd, head of Lionsgate, COO of Spotify. It's actually pretty crazy. And I'm curious, like there's so many NFT startups out there and, a lot with great backing. So why do you think like all of these industry leaders chose to invest and be a part of Autograph? Like, did they give you any sense of like why they chose you guys?
That's a great question. And it's humbling to hear you say all of those names out loud, truly, and the people that are involved. So the team and I, first and foremost, are incredibly lucky to have that kind of support and that kind of board and investor base behind us. I've learned so much just from interacting with them, especially as a young CEO. So it is incredibly special. And I think part of what got them really excited was the opportunity to do this in a way that made sense to the masses. Everyone at Autograph from the start has believed that Web3 has a strong future and it's here to stay. And as you said, is kind of the future of the internet. But I think that in the space, we were the company that showed we're going to build out a really experienced management team. We're going to work with incredible people. It doesn't hurt to have Tom Brady as your co-founder either. When he just won a Super Bowl, people want to work with the GOAT. So that was a nice, that's a nice selling point. But from there, I'd say it was the strength of the team, the mission to actually bring Web3 to the masses in an accessible way that also respects the culture that Web3 should build and provide. And finally, just I think it was them all being able to, or the majority, being able to still get in on the ground floor. Even the Series B investors that came in, we had only been in business for 9-10 months. So I think to all of them, it was, okay, there's a chance to be the media and entertainment place in Web3 and company, and there's a chance for it to be Autograph, and they're all going to throw their energy and resources into making that happen. And one other tangential point that I don't know if this was recognized, but I kind of believe is that we came into this space and I said from the start, we're going to build an amazing brand. So I think just the name and kind of the story around Autograph and the signatures brought back some nostalgia from sports cards. I like the A of our brand. A lot of it's going to be refreshed, but I like the A. So I think it was saying that this is a safe home for you. You can actually lend your resources on the ground floor, and let's build something really cool and incredible.
Totally. And how often do you rely on their advice, in the sense, like, when do you go with, your gut decision on something versus, their input?
It is some very, very good input a lot of the time. So I'd say I do make, of course, decisions on a daily basis. I'm respectful of their time. But when it comes to larger strategic decisions that sometimes I haven't even seen personally, what's been so amazing is they really are one WhatsApp, one phone call away to get that advice and input. So they've been instrumental to the building of this business. I would say when it comes to, they've just seen companies grow and scale in so many unique ways. And this is my first company of this caliber, clearly. So when I bring up something that has to do with, okay, we're growing in this way, and how do we get more people on? How do we look at the payroll, all of that kind of stuff? I mean, they've just seen it so many times, done it themselves in success. So that kind of wisdom I take constantly. And then if you think about the Andreessen team and the way they understand Web3 and the future of crypto, and someone like a Chris Dixon as well, I mean, I am all ears. Like, that is one of the world leading minds and experts in the category. So I sit there, shut up, and listen.
Yeah.
And I'm going to continue
No,
to do it as well.
As I would. And I just want to ask, like, some of those people, they're kind of hearing the creme de la creme of ideas, and probably like around the thought leaders of the space. So, is there any like super hot takes or really interesting things you've heard about, how NFTs will interact with our lives in the future, like totally separate from Autograph or what you guys are building? Is there anyone that like stood out to you?
I think something that Chris actually said on a podcast rather than to me directly that has stuck with me ever since, and I've used myself, is the way that Web3 has an opportunity to change how a company is built and understood. In terms of Web2, it's a top-down model, which he referred to as, it's like a Disneyland. There's the parent company, and everything under it that the consumer interacts with, they own, whether it's the kiosk, the ride, the merch, all of the above. When Web3 powering this creator economy allows it to be more like New York City, where people can build their own little shop or retail, or anyone on the Ethereum network can spin up a business and benefit from the traffic and liquidity that's already there to, the profit, to build amazing things, to invent. So I think that freedom and ability is just something amazing. So I wouldn't even call it a hot take. I would just say that's a genius way of putting it. And I've just been learning from comments and pieces of wisdom like that ever since.
And at Autograph, how are you guys thinking about how you will transition into Web3, which you're already there, but right now, probably most NFTs are kept in wallets. And do you have any ideas of, would you guys ever be down to build a metaverse, or like build, gaming play to earn around these athletes you have on board?
We're in conversations with a variety of companies that are building their own metaverses. Some ones that you would definitely know today about how to activate within them. Building our own, I do. I can't actually dive in, but we have amazing plans for the Web3 world. And I think right now it's So DraftKings Marketplace, they have custody of the NFTs, but they do have plans in short order to be able to let the NFTs out of the ecosystem, which they've announced, and it's on their FAQ page that it's coming in short order. So with that said, our NFTs will be on Polygon, on mainnet in no time. So from there, I think it's just going to be the future of what we do starting in around summer.
I think that's awesome. I love like interoperability because I think right now there's certain metaverses where it's like, even though the whole idea is to kind of create this decentralized virtual world, there's actually still like a lot of, gates between them, and NFTs can only be stored on certain wallets or certain websites. And I like the idea of like it almost being this like super interactive, easy to navigate place. And you can buy something on Autograph and be able to show it off in all these different virtual worlds or like different games.
That's the plan. We're
Yeah.
strong believers that users should have absolute custody, the wallet, their private keys of the NFT, like absolutely. So for us, it was day one, let's provide an accessible experience, but now let's dive into the full mainnet, dive into the Ethereum ecosystem, dive into whatever it may be, and just let it run, and then use these big names and brands and our ability to build accessible kind of bridged experiences, not the actual bridges from L2 to L1, but bridged experiences to make it happen.
And looking forward, you guys, like say you guys in the next 5 to 10 years, say you become like sort of the go-to spot for entertainment and sports, in the sense like you have, maybe all the big names. Do you see a space where, luxury fashion NFTs will be on a separate website, or there'll be a separate production studio for that? Do you see like there being a few big players? Right now there's like a million.
In terms of an autograph segmenting out, or the industry at large?
The industry.
Yeah, I do think that as much as there will still be a greater opportunity for people to pull themselves up by their bootstraps and start creating, there will be companies that come in and win and be able to provide accessible ways for luxury brand A to come into the space. I think those services are going to ultimately be valuable, at least for the foreseeable future, the next 5-10 years, unless the companies themselves wanted to build out an internal team that really understood it and a new business line to get it done, which isn't impossible either. I do think there will be category and industry leaders, and I know that is some form of centralization, but I think it's the steps that we're going to take, because it's not all of a sudden that Web3 is here and everything is decentralized. And that's kind of the philosophy that I think that a lot of people that are kind of compassionate to companies that want to learn and understand and bring new consumers in, they get that it's not all at once. You don't just go from we're a Web2 company to now things are governed by a DAO. You have to take the incremental steps to get there. So I think Web3 is going to have an outsized impact on a lot of different things, but it's going to take some more centralized steps and applications to get there.
Definitely. And like as this just becomes a more mainstream world and maybe part of our daily lives, like maybe concert tickets are sold as NFTs, and every event thing comes as an NFT. Even if we don't think about each use case as an NFT, it's actually just like a better blockchain based technology to run something than what's currently happening. Like how do you think about maintaining the NFTs that are like passion NFTs, like art, athletes, entertainment, whatever it is? How do you think about like maintaining their value?
I think that over time, my strong belief is that, I think the value, just like art, is in the eye of the beholder. If I love Tiger Woods and I have a Tiger Woods collectible, I'm going to own it and cherish it and hopefully pass it down to a child someday. That's the kind of stuff that we want to build and make all of our collections feel really special. And that comes with great storytelling and a great reason to own the NFT. But with that said, if you're going to do 15 drops over a long period of time of the same nature, I think the consumer is going to get bored. I think that the way that you can kind of keep it fun and interesting is you have to think about how can we be smart and intentional about it. So first there were these amazing preseason passes, then regular season collections. Now, how do we bring the community into that next experience? Whether that be like we talked about earlier, a metaverse application, an in-person experience, a digital experience. It becomes Autograph's responsibility to say, okay, like this user and this person loves Tiger Woods and they're part of the Autograph family, almost in a way of like, a loyalty program, which I think makes a lot of sense, that you're part of this company and part of this ecosystem and part of this Tiger Woods community. How do we then do the best job possible to provide that secondary kind of awesome experience? I mean,
Yeah, I could
sorry.
see a lot of
Yeah.
exciting in-person perks as well, like especially with sports. It's almost like, individualized. Maybe there's a fan club. So like if you happen to be in the city, you get to, go to this event for 20 minutes before the game or something like that.
Yeah, and I think absolutely, and that's our plan. And so, but what we really focus on as a company is let's create just the coolest. You own this NFT, and you're gonna love it forever. That's what we really want to do, is provide something that feels special. The signed NFTs, I think people are going to love, and the in-person experiences are going to be cool. I've actually said that we're hiring just a head of live events and experiences as well. So we really do want people that love autograph to either be able to come into the community through that way or be able to attend as a VIP, as a community member, whatever it may be. We're just still building out that strategy actively.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to quickly touch on like the critics out there and just ask you what you would respond to them. The first thing is like, there's kind of some discussion like that, this whole Web3 NFT craze, metaverse, like, is it just a bubble? Like, what is its, standing power in our future? What do you say to that?
I say that even if we all have it wrong today, the technology is so powerful, both from a crypto to be a supplement, I mean, a new global currency in a lot of ways, and an NFT to be this thing that you own in the digital world, that there is absolutely going to be long-term value. And when I say all wrong, if a collectible isn't the right long-term application that people love, I think it will be. And it will be the future of that. Absolutely. Companies like Candy are amazing. Top Shot, we do it in our own way. Autograph as well, the signatures. I mean, I think people are going to love it over the long term, but this technology is too powerful to be ignored. And that's
Like,
what I
it's not going
genuinely believe.
anywhere.
It's
It'll
not
just
going, it's
like
not
on
going
a
anywhere.
fundamental level, it'll probably be like an infrastructure to like everything in the
I
future.
totally agree. And whatever that NFT becomes in 25 years, I think we'll look back at this podcast and be incredibly surprised. But today I'm saying this is all here to stay. And the application will, some genius human being will figure it out.
There is a lot of discussion out there of a potential recession in the works, which is sad. But do you think people will still spend money on like these, passion things like NFTs?
I think that the macro environment right now is difficult. The global economy is reaching a pretty one of the harder places that we've seen in a long time, for just a variety of reasons that I won't delve into. I think that's going to put pressure on everything. I don't know if it's going to be especially towards NFTs or crypto in any way, but if a recession comes, I don't think it would be good for almost any market unless it's a hedge against against the actual market and spending. But I don't think it's going to be independent to crypto in any way or NFTs. There could be some pressure on, if this is the state of the global economy. I'm not going to get into something I don't completely understand. But at a broader level, I think it'll be consistent with everything else you see.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'll probably just everything will take a hit, but in the long term bounce back. And the other thing is honestly like especially autograph, like you guys really are making it pretty accessible in terms of price point. So it's not necessarily like an insane luxury. It's more of like the same way people like want to go to, dinners and movies and like these things that are part of our daily lives that bring us happiness. I sort of
And
put
that
it in that category.
and something
Yeah.
Oh no, just something I wish I said earlier is that it was always part of the vision to have ultra premium content at a price point that people could understand and actually access. We sold our Tom Brady NFTs for anywhere between $12 and our most recent collection $80, up to 1,500 on the primary. For us, wasn't about making money or charging the fans or anything like that. You saw these giant crypto one of one sales for millions of dollars.
Yeah. I think you
Everyone,
guys could have done that.
it
Yeah.
wasn't sustainable. And then I think that I just don't think that's the way that we ever felt that you should come into this space. It's more that let's make it accessible for everybody and build audiences and engage communities. And then the long-term value of that, both to us as a business, having people that love our brand, and for the actual icon, I think was just the strategy we chose and will be better over the long term.
Totally. And just quick question. Do you believe in like Ethereum as a long-term sort of base for NFTs?
I do. I think that layer two, I think they're going to go from proof of work to proof of stake, as they've said publicly,
Yeah.
and be able to solve a lot of the environmental impact. And then to increase throughput and scale, the layer two applications like the polygons of the world are going to be increasingly valuable. I think Vitalik himself actually said that as well. But I do think Ethereum is awesome and the place to be in. I think a lot of people in the space would agree with that.
So you're long on Ethereum. Good to know. And one of my last questions as we veer towards the end here is just, you're 23, right?
Oh, I'm 24.
You're 24. I'm 23. Okay. At 24 years old, running this company and watching it grow from an idea to a small team to probably growing, every month and adding employees and building out this bigger and bigger vision. How has that learning curve been for you?
I think, well, to put it into perspective, it was a pitch deck. It was still a pitch deck a year ago today. And now we're at over 80 employees with the intention of continuing to scale. So the learning curve has been immense. I look back at some Slacks and emails I sent 10 months ago and almost kind of asked myself, who is that guy? And I thought, I never really, when I was sitting there, I was like, wow, I have a lot to learn. But I think it's just been, like you said, I have amazing people around me, amazing mentors, being humble and open-minded and learning from people that know. And I think asking the right questions is incredibly important. So for me, it's taken over my life, as it should. And I really have loved learning and doing it. But the advice I'd give is that if I came into this role and was hard-headed and thought I knew everything and was going to go disrupt this and do it my own way and not take advice from anybody, we would not be Autograph at all right now. So it was like, let me at first be a sponge and a medium for what I believe the best possible result is for this company. And then from there, keep learning. And I think, as you know, also, I started something between 15 and 18, the company Tutors, and then another few things in college that I was working on throughout. So it wasn't completely foreign to me how to get started. But of course, this is the biggest thing I've been a part of and involved in.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, I remember that in high school. You're always hustling and starting things. And so, but yeah, now you're kind of just at the next level, but it's great to be a sponge when you're surrounded by the best soap, as we'll use that. Great analogy. Okay. So now I'm going to ask you sort of the last question that I like to ask everyone that comes on the podcast, because this podcast is, about helping people get involved and engage with the future and where our world is headed. It's also about, sparking some optimism and kind of highlighting all the ways that technology is actually so exciting and can improve our lives and improve our communities. Why are you excited for the future? And why are you, Dillon Rosenblatt, optimistic for tomorrow and 20 years from now?
I'm optimistic because I think this is the first time in my lifetime where there was a turn of technology that allowed me to be in a position to make a real impact on the future. Whatever that becomes, I am just excited to keep building, learning, providing incredible experiences. Like, it's surreal right now to look at a team of 16 people at our company that are building out as I said, 16 people building out an experience at AEG Buku in New Orleans, to be able to have an Usain Bolt drop live right now with a Tiger Woods one coming next week. Like, it's just been such an amazing, surreal experience to be here today. But why I'm optimistic is because this new technology is going to be, and already is, incredibly disruptive. And I really want to be playing my part in building out this broader ecosystem and bringing all of the benefits of Web3 to the masses.
I think that's a great answer and a great reason to be excited. I'm certainly excited about Autograph and the space in general, where it's headed and what it'll unlock for people. That's it from me, Dillon. Thank you so much for coming on the show. It was really an honor to have you, and it was very fun.
Very fun. I'll come back anytime. Thank you so much for having me.